All right, guys, we are live here with another Business Bits episode on our Doors to Deals podcast. What's going on, world? We have a topic today, and I don't know if you guys have ever heard this quote before, but it goes something like this: the amount of money that you make is in direct proportion to the complexity of the problems that you solve, and if you can solve bigger problems, you're able to the business world make more money. So this is a really important topic, and it's just really as simple as problem solving. Like how do you do it? What's some good tips and tricks? I have a tool that in a book that I read recently that I really like, that I'd like to share with you guys at the end of this. And let's just get into a couple of problems that we faced here recently and look into solving them. So Ryan, you were kind of going over a deal with one of our team members here recently. Let's get into that first.
Well, before I do that, let's do this. I had forgotten. I read an article the other day. It was a sports article, so Sports Junkie, and it was an article about football. Say what you will about the NFL. The NFL kind of sucks. And the coach of the San Diego Chargers, first year last year, he is a big analytics guy, and he feels like analytics is like a negative connotation. I'm bringing this up because part of what we want to talk about is if the way you look at things, the things you look at change, right? So I want to give a story of what he said. So there's this book he was reading. It's called The Undoing Project. Are you either of you familiar with that?
I am not. No.
Okay. So in this book, I'm just going to read it. It says lung cancer proved to be a handy example of this. Lung cancer doctors in the early 80s faced two unequally unpleasant options: surgery or radiation. Surgery was more likely to extend your life, but unlike radiation, it came with a small risk of instant death. You told people that they had a 90% chance of surviving surgery. 82% of the patients opted for surgery. But when you told them they had a 10% chance of dying from surgery, which of course was just a different way of putting it, right? Only 54% of the people opted for surgery. Change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So the reason I bring that up, I was going to actually bring that up yesterday at our team meeting, and I failed to, is because he was explaining that understanding numbers is so weak that people don't know how to communicate anything. So everyone feels that those probabilities analytics, if you will, are unreal. So we deal with analytics. We here in real estate and anything, there's numbers that are associated. How does this all correlate to a story? Well, so one of our team members yesterday brought up a need that was he had a tenant that wanted to rent a property not too far from where they lived currently. They had about $900 in which to spend, and he is trying to help them find a place so that then he can buy the property and do a deal. So he was looking at it one way. I had approached it or had made the suggestion of trying to help offset some of that cost. So, hey, maybe they can only afford $900. However, that's a restrictive number in that particular area. So if you can bump it up, if you can afford $300-$400 on top of that, maybe you can help them find a place, and then you can get the house. Jim actually looked at it even a different way, which was an owner finance deal, or taking over the note, keeping them in the property and keeping them at the same payment, or potentially even less, same payment, less than what they were willing to pay at another place. So I think these are the cancer is crazy. You phrase things one way and people will think of it. The fact that so many people were willing to do the surgery as opposed to not do it when you phrase it one way or the other. It's just the way we look at things. So one of the advantages that we have is we have so many awesome people that we work with. And by bouncing things off of one another, we are able to get different vantage points and able to determine different solutions. So that's my story.
Yeah, I love that. And actually, it's a perfect precursor to what I'm about to talk about here in a second. And there's also like another way to spin that too is In psychology, there's something called the expectancy theory. And like a good way to explain the expectancy theory is what you are focused on expands. So in this case, 90% of the people were focused on, oh, hey, it's a 90% chance I'm going to survive. Boom, sign me up. I'm going to do this surgery and take care of it. If you frame it the other way, hey, you have a 10% chance of dying. Now, what are you focused on? You're focused on dying. So that literally by a third, it impacted the amount of people that ended up signing up for the surgery by a third. And that's, what you focus on expands. And when I get into the tool here that we're going to talk about, we're going to go into that in a little bit more detail. So Caleb, you also had a interesting problem on kind of the HR side of things that we were dealing with recently too, right?
Yeah. So anyone involved in hiring or business right now knows that hiring talent is incredibly tough. This is probably, I haven't been in the job world forever, but in my memory of hiring, this is the toughest job market we've ever had to hire people. So we currently have 5 positions open, which is a lot. And we had one application that we're getting 10 applicants a week on. We're like, wow, I've hired for this role several times. It's a role that's always going to have a decent turnover. And we started going through it, and we were talking to one of our consultants and showing him our job posting. And he's like, well, I don't even know what a transaction coordinator really is. And the world doesn't know what that is. So anyone not in real estate has no idea. And I was like, what if we change the name? We called it client care coordinator. So that was one minor change. The one that I really, really liked is he's like, the other thing is still people don't know what a client care coordinator does. But what we do is we try to hire around based on personality. So we want to hire someone whose personality is going to really match that role well. So what we took was the very first posting of that job. The first thing you reads this. The client care coordinator is an individual who is outgoing, draws energy from working with people, and is optimistic. They have a strong sense of urgency, but not at the expense of quality. In addition, she demonstrates on a daily basis the knowledge, attitudes, skills, and habits of a high achiever who's committing to putting clients first, doing the right thing, and seeking a win-win agreement. The client care coordinator must be adaptable to change and be solution-oriented. She will manage the entire contract to close process efficiently and effectively to ensure all transactions close on time with little or no hassle to clients and third parties. Now, as I read that, I'm sure some of you guys listening, that resonated with you. You're like, wow, I'm that person. So think about as you're trying to hire people, you want to speak to that person at the beginning of the job, not just with here's that boom, 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 bullet points. That's boring.
I think we've set a Doors to Deals record for the amount we've read to the audience today. Ryan and Caleb both.
We might have.
Well, real quick. With that, we went from what to what, Caleb? Tell them the results so far.
Hey there, if you're looking to get the ultimate edge for your real estate investing company, go to doorstodeals.com/invest for more information. Just so you know, a high percentage of the people that we interview on this podcast are actually already Three Doors Network members. And our network members have a lot of extra resources. They have access to an online training vault with over 3 years worth of content in it. They have access to vendor savings like our Home Depot discount that's literally saved thousands of dollars for members. And we have a weekly group coaching call, and we have a lot of other great things as well as part of the Three Doors Network. So make sure that you check it out on doorstodeals.com/invest.
With that, we went from what to what, Caleb? Tell them the results so far.
Yeah, so we went to our best weeks having 10 job applicants for that role a week to having 10 applicants a day. And so any of you guys that know about hiring is a numbers game. It's about getting in front of talented people, finding the right talented person. So you have to get more, it's just like sales. Hiring is just like sales. It's the amount of contacts you can make. 10 a day, it's crazy. Now we have, I think, 2 or 3 really great high quality candidates in 3 days.
And so joke aside, I'm really glad, by the way, you read that, Caleb, because I think it's really important that you did. So like what's interesting is like the way that's written. It's like I don't have to know what a transaction coordinator or a client care specialist is, but I know that's me. I read that description. That sounds like me all day long. Oh, I would like to be me in a job. That sounds fantastic. So starting with that is it's amazing. And what other modifications did we do, Caleb, on it?
Yeah, so another really cool thing that and some of you guys might laugh, I'm still learning. I'm still learning about hiring people. We added our core values at the end. What we wanted to do is so at the beginning we want to read out to the person, to speak to the person who they are. At the end we wanted to tell them a little bit of us, give them something to connect with. I think core values are really important about companies. I feel like, and I could be wrong, I feel like people choose a lot of jobs that they work at based on the values of the company. So we added our 5 core values at the end. And whether that helped or not, I'm not sure. When we hire somebody, I'm definitely going to ask them. But just a few little tips. And even if you don't own the company, if you work for somebody, take these tips to your boss. Maybe you're going to show some value to your boss, and it's going to help with your next promotion.
Yeah, and I mean the core values too. Like we do hire on our core values, so having that up front on what we stand for, if it filters somebody through and they don't put their application because they're like, I don't believe in Kaizen. That's one of our core values, to constantly be improving things. Then that's good. We just saved ourselves a little bit of time too, right? Having to filter through somebody that probably wasn't going to be a good fit anyway.
Absolutely. Hiring and training is extremely expensive. So if you can get that down and hire the right person, your company is going to go a lot further. So hopefully you guys take those little nuggets and they help your business out as well. Good luck to you guys.
All right. So one more thing, and then that's a wrap for this. So I'm going to try and share my screen. There's people that listen in. We'll have the video up on our Doors to Deals website if you're listening into the podcast and the audio only version of this. And I'll do my best to just kind of explain what's on the screen. Can you guys see my screen yet? Is it visible? Was that a yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes or yes. Okay. All right. So what you focus on expands. Ryan talked about the importance of that. I love the story that he just shared. And if you make money in business solving problems, so what happens when things break down and you get stuck? What happens when you get into solution mode and you start making money? So imagine a mental chalkboard. And this, by the way, is from Relentless Solution Focus. It's a book by Dr. Selk. It's a book that's really actually changing my life. I can't highly recommend it enough. Out of the last 100 books I've read, it's been kind of my number one. So check that out if you're looking for a good new book. But so a mental chalkboard, and on the upper left, you have the word problem written down. And then kind of there's a line in the middle of the screen and then solution on the right side. So if you have a problem, like let's just use Caleb's example, like I'm not getting enough applicants, okay, to a job opening that I need. What a lot of times people do and how they get stuck is then they just get stuck on the problem. Oh, I'm not getting enough applicants. It's because this is a tough job market. And then you just start sitting in the problem. And you sit there and you sit there and you sit there, and then you get and then then the problem doesn't get solved. Okay, so this RSF tool that he recommends is that you have to be relentless with this question: is what is one thing that I can do that could make this better? Okay, and then so like the question might be, okay, well I can talk to. In this case, Mike McCloskey with Predictive Index was a resource that we used to help us. So talk to Mike, and like let's say talking to Mike, then he came up with a couple like additional items of what we could do to solve the problem. So sometimes it can be just talking to somebody. Sometimes it could be trying out a new title, you name it. But then what happens is then you try and live on the solution side. And if that first solution's like, talking to Mike's not going to do it, he doesn't know much about hiring, then you go and you just ask yourself the question again, what's one thing I can do to make this better? And you just keep going down the line until you get to an answer that you need. Okay. And like, you really can't accept that I don't know as an answer. If you don't know, well, who do you know that knows? Who do you know that you can ask? And living on this solution side, what happens is because of what you focus on expands, guys. If you're only focused on problems, what are you going to see more of? You're going to find more problems. You're going to be stuck in problems. if you're focused on solutions and focused on answers, then that's a way to get more solutions and answers, right? And the author that wrote this book was he worked for the St. Louis Cardinals, and baseball. This is incredibly important too. So I've been a little bit aware of this intuitively, but like when you're quote unquote in the zone and on fire and 4 for 4 that day versus 0 for 4 that day, right? So on some level, I think I've known this, but I love just the simplicity in this model and just being just trying to focus on what's one thing that can solve this. So what do you guys think on that, Caleb, Ryan? I know you guys haven't read the book yet. What do you guys think on that model?
Yeah, no, I was kind of thinking about that, about the job role. Like, had I probably sat down sooner, and we've been hiring for this for a little bit, and said, like, what's going on? Why aren't we getting enough applicants? And spent that time and asked those questions, we probably would have solved that sooner. And the other thing I thought about, which we talk about a lot on here, is you have to have a mentor. You have to have someone to guide you through this process, because a lot of you guys who are in your startup phase, you're just getting going. You're a one-man show. You're a one-man shop. If you don't know that within, you have to have somebody to go to and ask those questions. So to me, that makes me think even more of like, man, mentorship and coaching is so important, especially when you're starting out.
Yeah, so we're in the middle of raising $150 million for a real estate fund that we're opening up. And I had 2 different people talk about a company we needed to talk about. I had never heard of the company, and I didn't know, but I viewed it as a sign. Like 2 different people that I know have said, "Hey, you need to talk to these people." And so then I said, "Well, what's one thing I can do?" And I was like, "Well, I can log into LinkedIn and go on their website and just start looking up some names and seeing if I have any connections with anybody." And lo and behold, one of my friends from the blast from the past has a connection there. I was able to give him a call. "Hey, can you introduce me?" And now I have a really good introduction into this company. But had I just gotten stuck on I don't know anyone there, and just got stuck there, the problem would have never been solved, and we would have never had traction. So it's another good example of that. And I really think this is something that's hidden, that like is one of the things that just kills more businesses and more people's dreams than just about anything. I think when it comes to small businesses, I think we're all like sort of aware of this, and we're sort of not at the same time, but this is what's going on in between the years. And this is an incredibly powerful tool for you guys to achieve whatever you want to achieve in your life.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay. Well, I don't have anything else. Ryan, Caleb, closing thoughts? Wessels, close us down today, buddy.
I'll just expand a little bit on what you were talking about with regards to focusing on a solution as opposed to the problem. Knowing the problem is certainly a key component to being able to solve it. However, as you said, a lot of people do get too fixated on it. And I'll give you an example. So right now, dealing with trying to get a revolving line of credit. Okay, that's one of the things that I'm working on. And there's a broker in between myself and this bank that we're working with. And the broker's doing a phenomenal job of, well, this doesn't work for you, so what about this? Presenting options, presenting potential solutions. Then, getting us on the phone today to have a discussion as to how we can bridge the gap. So what I will expand on through that story, which is brief and not very descriptive, however, the best negotiators, the best people who are bringing people together are those that are solution focused, those that don't harp or focus too much of their efforts on the problem and focus on how can we, not what is. How can you? How can I do something? So it's just one word. How can I, not who is the problem or what is the problem? How can I solve? How, not the why or the what.
Cool. Well, thanks again for tuning in, guys. We appreciate you listening to another Business Bits, and that's all it. We'll see you guys soon.
That's a wrap, guys. For additional resources, go to doorstodeals.com. And don't forget, we're already generating over $186,000 per month in passive income for people in our world. And we're just getting started, and we can help you out as well. So if you want to grow your passive income, we have multiple options available. The first step is for us to get to know each other better. Give us a call or send us over a text message at 314-310-4886 to get started. And finally, go out, live your purpose, and above all else, go after your dreams. Till next time. Thanks for tuning into this show. For more episodes and resources that will unlock doors to deals, check out our website, doorstodeals.com.